Naimbag ang malamyo amin, siyak ni Zion Axelle R. Fabro, damdamad kayo ti Radyo Kapwa, GCKUT 90.3 FM. We're all Filipinos are Filipino enough.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Bienvenue à tous. This is Fenny Cristo on the microphone. You are listening to Radio Kapwa 90.3 FM CKUT. We broadcast every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm in the studio right now with Martin, our guest coordinator, Vero, our main host, and of course we have Laura, our lead audio engineer. Today we have a very special guest in-house, the amazing Zion Axelle Fabro. And you know what? We've known Zion for a while. You know, she came to Centre Kapwa on our Verdun Kapwa walk a while ago. Yeah, and
that was last year.
Yeah,
A lot of things has happened.
Yeah, and I just remember the second we met you, and after that, we were all in the group chat. We were like, "Yo, we gotta get Vero knows, We're like, "Yo, we gotta get Zion involved." that energy,
Yeah.
And over the past year, you've gotten more involved with Centre Kapwa. You're now part of the Ka Collective.
Yeah.
I guess. Let's just start out. That's going a bit too far though. Let's start about with who you are. I know you're a multidisciplinary artist from Concordia. Why don't you talk about your journey to Montreal and how and just talk about yourself with your art.
With my art, well, I'm currently on my second year in Concordia pursuing a studio arts degree. I'm really passionate about painting, drawing, sculpture, but really open to exploring different kinds of art mediums. And what else? I came here to Montreal 6 years ago, and I've been living with my mom since then.
Okay.
That's
6 years ago is really not that far ahead. That was just before COVID. So putting it into context for everyone who's listening to us, how did that go to you? Especially, before COVID, we're here in Montreal. Luckily enough, there's a big population of the Filipino community. But otherwise, how was it your first years here?
first year. I think it was really isolating in a way. When I moved here, it was like when you're in the Philippines, it's always like papers, waiting on things to follow through with the government, with the immigration.
Yep.
But when things get approved, it really just went by so fast that suddenly I was there, then here. And I remember just being really, really misplaced. I was it was, I think, because of how fast things were happening, and given that I was also a child, I was 13 years old.
Damn.
All the the structure of the houses were different. There were no colors, there were just bricks. I was so worried that I was gonna get lost because how
The houses look the same.
the houses look the same. And I remember going to McDonald's with my mom on my first day here, and she was like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "I want chicken with rice." And
There's no rice.
and then she said, "There's no rice here." And I remember the complete utter culture shock that happened when she said that. And the fact that it was also just the language. We study English in the Philippines, but we never really speak it 24/7. I was confident with my English. I read books in English, but when I came here, I remember being so intimidated talking to the cashier. And that continue on with when I entered the school system, with my teachers, with my schoolmates. Suddenly I had this awareness of myself because I couldn't speak the language.
Yeah.
Not like the way I was before, where I had an answer and I knew the answer, so I'd raise my hand because I just knew the answer and I wanted to be the one to say it. But I remember at school, my thoughts would be is this the right answer? Like, is this actually the right answer? How am I gonna say it the right way? Like, am I saying it the right way? And a lot of self-doubt came through with my first year here because of the fact that everything was so unfamiliar and so isolating, like really isolating. You're in a community where you know everyone, you know your neighbor.
Yeah.
Like I could go bike for 10 minutes and I'd still know the family that's living in that house. But here I don't even know the person living beside me. It was really an isolating experience for the first few years.
So that was the first few years. I hope it's not like that anymore though.
No, it's not like that anymore. I think what really helped was when I finished high school.
Okay.
I went in a French high school where I went through the welcoming school and everything. The moment I got out of high school, I pursued arts in Dawson College.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking arts? Wow.
Arts. Yeah, I was really worried at first because I always thought it was a hobby and not something I was going to pursue for life.
So let me ask you though, what changed? Like what made you decide, oh, you know what, let me go forward with this as
With
like a
the
career
arts.
path.
Yeah, and why not nursing?
Actually, I have a story about that. Because my mom is a nurse and my dad is an engineer, and I always knew I didn't want to be a nurse. I was just like, the hospital, I'm scared of ghosts. Blood gives me the I was just like, and I hear the stories from my mom and I have so much respect for her job, but I do not want to do it.
Like it's not for you.
I do not want to do it for myself. But it's the fact that why is it always suggested for Filipinos to be a nurse?
I mean, we do know why, but before we delve into the why of it, we'll just take a little bit of break for our ad. And we're back again because Veronica has a lot of things to say. Zion, I picked up little tidbits. Again, I want to take this time to say our thanks to our healthcare workers, specifically nurses. We Filipinos are known to be nurses. We are actually the largest exporter of nurses in the world. So shout out to your mom. And that is where it came from.
My mom.
Exactly. Shout out to your mom. That's where it came from when Filipinos are expected to be nurses, because it is actually true that we dominate this industry for a very good reason, but for a political reason. But we're not there for that, right? We're here to talk about Zion. So tell us more about your accueil. I remember struggling with accueil because I went when I was in primaire. And I didn't know that they speak French in here, so I was struggling a bit. But I guess because I was young back then, it was easier for me to integrate. And tell us what you think about it and how that make you feel, because you talk about something it's isolating, you started having self-doubt and such.
Yeah.
Big question.
Yeah, I don't know where to start. I could say that moving to a whole different country is already such a huge shift. And English was already such a huge shift.
Yeah.
And then suddenly
French also.
And I came in not knowing anything because of the fact that as I said, the transition is pretty fast once the papers are all done. But when the papers are not done, you're we don't know when this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So you're kind of still living the life in the Philippines as you should, because my life was as I should, because my life was there. But when I came in here, I remember just not knowing what I was doing, feeling lost, and sometimes feeling what's the word I'm looking for?
You can say it in Tagalog.
Hindi ko po
Well, you said a very good word earlier that I don't think we've heard before, but displaced.
Displaced. That was a good one. Yeah.
Would that be?
Yeah, I felt displaced and overlooked, actually. Akkoy students are not really getting, because it's meant to be focused studies for people for transition, right?
Yeah.
But what I find that I went through, and a lot of my peers and a lot of people that I know that are going through the Akkoy system, is how overlooked people are and how much time people end up spending because of that kind of treatment
Yeah.
towards Akuri students. Like nobody, like already the Akuri system is a setback because you have to take a year fully learning a language to be able to go back to
Yeah.
a normal like
Yeah.
Classes. Yes.
classes, and that's already like a year, 2 year setbacks. And what I find is that people are not giving us the education that we deserve, the education that we need, the attention that we need.
It's just, I think it's the time of it, right? You mentioned about like self-doubt and being displaced. And I think this is something that is prevalent in our community because we might be excelling academically speaking, but because as you said, you kind of like were held back for at the minimum a year to learn French, that takes away your academic confidence.
Yes.
And I can say it for like personally speaking, like with my siblings, that took away a little bit of their like, well, tanga pala ako or bobo pala
Yeah,
ako.
It's like their shine, you know?
Yeah, you know, and what you were saying that it lacks, and we're obviously every system has its flaws, but what is lacking is the transition of these newcomers from a completely different society to integrating in the dominant society in here. But what they forgot is the mental and wellness aspect of these kids, right? Like, t'es
like
tombé nulle part, and then now il faut parler français. You want to go pee-pee and you don't want to know how to say it.
You can't
just
go.
like,
Yeah.
you couldn't go, right? And it's very frustrating as you grow up. Like already with little toddlers that we have in here, they feel very frustrated because they want dede and they couldn't say it, right? So I can't imagine as someone who can already vocalize and still not able to communicate, right? Because the system, the Accueil system is made really for you to understand the Quebec history and nothing else. And that is what is lacking as a form of service to integrate these newcomers for us, especially children like you who came in here.
And the problem with that too is that when we do finish the Akkoy, we transition back to normal schooling, and like we've lost like the education in math. Like even though they include it, like it's not a focus, we lose education in English.
Yeah.
So automatically when we go back and it feels like all normal for everyone, I'm like, I've lost all that knowledge for a year.
Yeah.
And like you're just expecting me to know everything from now on. Nobody really talks about that. And it's so validating for you to mention like the way how you and your siblings felt about like academic validation.
Yeah.
Because it was such a huge thing for me.
Yeah,
Like,
you felt that too, eh?
growing up, like I think because my parents weren't around, like me and my brothers were all thing around, like the things that like was a really huge part of my identity back home was my academics.
Yeah.
Like I was on top of all my studies. I was really proud of that. Like at first it was probably to make people happy, to make my family happy, because obviously I wanted to make them proud, but it was also like my study ethic. Like I enjoyed being on top of my school load. Like I enjoyed acing my exams.
And then here, the frustration.
Yeah.
And then this is where you start lashing out a bit, right? Because if you don't have systems in place, like, you know, what we're trying to build here in Centre Kapwa is with Kaartehan is just come and chill here. The main motivation for us is just like, if these people have a space for them to be who they are, then that frustration in their loob is being let out and being used, that energy in creative outlet and in a creative like manner. And I think I'm like surrounded by artists in here, so a lot of people can relate to what I'm saying. But it is very important, because if not, then that's where uses of drugs as a form of mechanism is defense mechanism is being used, and Filipino youth here in Montreal are very much at risk because there are no extracurricular activities for them to kind of let out that energy. You know, yes, basketball is great, but that's basketball.
Yeah, and not everybody plays basketball.
And
That's
very much in like exclusive for like Filipino boys, right? And then is there anything about like artists who paints? Artist lang yan, puro pinta, wala namang pera. And once again, that rooting it back to, we brought you here because we sacrificed, try to get your education fast so you can start working.
Yeah.
So now you can start ambag, you can start doing contribution back home. And that is the main shift between parents who sponsor their children to come here as PR versus children who came in here, is that parents' mindset is still the same mindset as when they came here, which is a worker, you know, and sending money back home. Now they brought their kids in here. The kids' outlook is different. The kids' outlook is not like, oh, I'm going to work as well and then send money back home. The kid is here to set their roots.
Yeah.
And that is the main difference that we're trying to, that's the gap that we're trying to fill in. And with Centre Kapwa, we wanted to be able to remember that confidence that you had. And that's a good segue for me to ask, like, how are you feeling as you now feel yourself growing into the programming of Centre Kapwa? And we want to hear your story after this break.
Hello, hello. This is Martin, guest coordinator at Radio Kapwa, and here on mic duty today.
Yay!
So, coming back from the break, earlier we were talking about how you were feeling
Lost.
misplaced, lost, and basically that you had a lot of self-doubt. But what I wanted to bring up was actually that, so for context, Zion and I met at Kapwa Rising back in October here in Montreal. And when I first, I signed up for this event not knowing what I was getting into. It was my first in-person Kapwa event, actually. And when I came in, it was the artist workshop. I walked through the door. I see Zion drawing a sign announcing the workshop.
Yeah.
And she welcomes me in. And at first I'm like, oh, cool, like someone who's organizing.
Oh,
And then like
really?
as we get to talking to you, I realized, no, you're not working here. You're just like, hi. So
It's like, who is this person?
who is this? So yeah, my point being, you come off as a person who's super like sure of themselves, super confident. So like my question for you
Thank
is,
you.
how did you get out of those self-doubt feelings? How did you like find yourself
My
again,
tribe.
maybe, and then find your tribe? Because I do think that you have to find yourself again or before going into other people. So how
I
did you?
think I was really fortunate to have met people from the teen zone of the YMCA at NDG. They came in at school saying that like we have space for billiards, for ping pong, and free food. And me and my friends were just like,
Free food?
we get free food. And we were like, I tried to make the whole class to come with me because I didn't know what to do by myself. So I was like, guys, there's free food, let's go. And then I showed up, and they had many activities going on, like not just like the billiards and the ping pong. They would have like dance workshops on Wednesdays, boxings on Fridays, which me and my friend did for 2 years.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, like after the workshops, you'd hang out there, and then it's a space where I wasn't demanded to speak in any particular way. Like I could,
You come as you are.
I come as I am. Like I can speak in English, and if someone's Filipino there, like I could speak with them in Tagalog or in Ilocano. And I wasn't even forced to socialize. If I was not feeling it that day, I could pick a couch and be on my phone and just be.
Yeah, no pressure.
No
Yeah.
pressure, no anything. And I think having that space was something really special. Like it, without that, I think my transition, like from the Philippines to here, would have been really like it wouldn't have been a story of like what do you call it? The story.
Triumph.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a story of triumph. It would be a story of still isolation, maybe.
Okay.
But I was surrounded by not just like, I was surrounded by people who were experiencing the same things as me, like people who were also immigrating, who didn't know what they were doing. And it wasn't even conversations, just being in presence of one another was already so, takes so much weight off your shoulder, because it's like, oh wow, I'm not that alone. Like I have these people, like we don't have to talk, we just have to exist in the same space, and I feel less lonely because you're here.
And you feel validated as well.
Yeah, it's and then I would have the conversations with my friends, and then the youth workers that were working then were really, really kind. I think there were the first adults that I confided to with my mental health. Actually, it's with them that like conversations about mental health were like opened, like topics like depression, anxiety, and homesickness. Like I think it was in that space that I really had a place to talk about these things or like know about these things. And I was like, oh, that feeling that I'm feeling right now, like there's a word for it. And when there's a word for it, it validates it. It makes it real. And even though that's scary, that's also like, oh, okay, like I'm going through something and that's fine because it's normal because you went through this process.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like acknowledging all of those things by putting words into it was really helpful. And like having those conversations was just really eye-opening to me.
And you wonder why sometimes I bring the mic during kaatehan, huh?
Yeah, no, it's just really like you when I think they're also the ones actually that not encourage me. I reach out to them because I'm diagnosed with depression, but before I wasn't diagnosed before, but I knew I was really like there was something going on.
There, yeah.
And I remember like they were the people that I reached out to. It wasn't a safe space. I didn't have a safe space to talk about mental health, but I was really like I couldn't get myself up to bed. I would miss classes, and I love my classes. I'm in art school. And it's just they were the people I reached out to, and they were the one who connected me with a therapist and got me going. And there was no pressure. Like there was like they made sure that like there's confidentiality, there's support whenever it's needed, like in however way you need.
Yeah, like they made you feel like very comfortable just talking about it. Yeah.
And I think they're a really huge part of like my emotional support, like my emotional pillar. Whenever I'm going through stuff, like there's always a door open for me to like, hey, can we have a soup talk? 'Cause that's what we call when we go in the office and just like, I cry about something, and I just don't want to say I want to cry about something. Can we have a soup talk?
You know, so I mean, like I said earlier when we started this interview, like you had when we first met you at Centre Kapwa, at the Kapwa Verdun Walk, you had like a really good energy about yourself. I feel it's like it's because of this, because like, you know, like when you came to our event, you were already in that state of mind that you were, because, you know, Centre Kapwa was all about mental health, right? So you were already in that space, like, you know, just ready to like talk about mental health and just do things about it, right? So yeah, maybe you can talk about like, I guess that maybe how Centre Kapwa has been like
Grounding
you, or like, I guess now, because for a while we've been talking about like, you know, like your first few years here, but I guess there's also the most recent years now that you've been like rolling with Centre Kapwa. How has that experience been? And like, you know, you're also involved with Ka Collective now, so
I'm so
Big ups,
happy
big
about
ups.
that.
Let's talk about the happier side of
The happier
things.
side.
But
of things.
before we move forward, I just wanted to do a huge shout out to youth workers, because
Totally.
youth workers, y'all are literally saving lives, you
Yes.
know, by being there with the
Yes.
youth. This is very, very important work, and this is what Centre Kapwa aspires as well to provide service for our youth, like Zion. Go ahead, Zion.
About my experience with Centre Kapwa, I think I would talk about my experience with the Filipino community in here. I think at first part of the isolation was that I didn't really resonate with the Filipino communities that I've seen around. There was always this sense that like I felt like despite being born in the Philippines, despite like being a first immigrant Filipino, like I was more in the artistic side. I didn't really go to church. Like I didn't really I didn't resonate with the things that were happening, and it felt very like I'm talking about my experience, so obviously like I'm not talking for the entirety of the Filipino community.
Of course,
because-
we're not a monolith.
Right.
This is what we're all about. We're not a monolith, and everyone's experience are different, and everyone's experience is valid.
Yeah, but as me, I felt kind of not welcome, mainly because of myself too. Like I felt uncomfortable with okay, like what type of Filipino am I? Like
Yeah.
what like it didn't feel comfortable when I'd see Filipinos representing themselves Philippines, and I couldn't resonate, and I was like, oh no, what if it like I don't fit the picture, I don't.
Hala, Canadian ka na.
Yeah, and I was just like, and there's that like desire to
Fit
fit
in.
in because like it's already so isolating as I've mentioned, but there's also this like the way I'd fit in is by not being myself, and it felt really, it was icky.
It was icky. I know, but like we're moving towards the icky part, and we wanna hear your experience.
So yeah, like what made you feel unicky?
And icky, yeah. I mean, listen, I'm one of the co-founders of Centre Kapwa, and so I have like a personal vested interest in this. But also, I just would like to hear like genuine feedback, right, from you.
I think it's because I've been following you guys on Instagram before I knew you guys in real life, and I just really, I think there was just such openness to it, such diverse like groups of people that I was like, oh, like, and I think around that time too, like I was starting to be more comfortable with my Filipino-ness, like showing it to like in my work, and like being like, oh, okay, Filipino-ness is just a concept. Like it's at some point it really is just in your brain sometimes, and I think I overthinked it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think when I started being comfortable in my work with my Filipino-ness, I think that's when I started seeking people that like, oh, okay, like I can be Filipino like this. That means there should be people around that like,
You exist, therefore there are other people.
yeah, there are other people that should be there. And it was really nice because I saw Millicent at the Teen Zone actually, and she had the tote bag of Kapwa, and I was like, oh my God,
Hey,
real
branding
life
works.
interaction. And I was like, hey, hi. So I was like, I've seen the group, and I was like, I was just wondering, like, can you tell me more about it? Like, what is the organization? Like, she mentioned that there's a Kapwa walk this weekend. If you're interested, you should go. And I was really nervous that day. I remember being in the metro, and I was like, oh my God, new people. I don't know a single person in this place, but like, let's go.
I want to mention that Zion was the first and earliest person to show up.
I'm an American time.
Listen, we're Filipino. Like
I know, and I was just like, oh, okay. That's a good sign.
And then Laura, I remember you were there with a bag of IKEA handing over
and
ensaymada.
Saimada. I was just like, I think you gave me two because you kept giving, and I just couldn't say no. So I was just like, yeah, sure.
Let's grab more. Let's grab
So
more.
in my bag, I gave the other one to my mom, and it's like, oh, nice, thank you. And I was like, yeah, sure. It was really good though. Thank you. But yeah, and I remember walking there, and just like the crowd was giving.
was giving. Yeah.
It was giving, and also I think I really appreciated the fact that like when I needed a break, like I could just like kind of like calm down and walk with the group, and not necessarily like have to talk.
Yeah.
And I thought like, wow, this is pretty chill. Like I didn't felt pressured to do anything, and at the same time, it was also my first time at Verdun.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was like, oh wow, the things that they're doing. And I remember Vera was holding the Philippine flag and
Vera always has that.
the pride flag, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah, we're gay.
Like I was like, this is a Filipino organization that's talking about art that are like people of from different ages. So I remember like was just talking to someone about fabrics, about dye.
Oh, that's
Stephanie. Shout out to Stephanie.
Yeah, I remember was just like she was so passionate about her art, and I was like, these are the things I talk about, and I usually just go off rail with conversations about art, and like I remember thinking like, I've never had conversations like this with Filipinos.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's something that was so special to me, and I think that's why I gravitated so much with Kapwa is the fact that like these people are creatives, and they're Filipinos, and like they look like me, like they share. I talk about things that like akoy, about the language barrier, about mental health, and I was like, and I can talk openly about it. There's
Yeah, I mean, fuck Bill 96, you know? Like, how come it took us 1 year to learn French, and then this newly arrived immigrants, you need to look for places to stay with, like, the price of rent in here, and toi là, t'as 6 mois à maîtriser la langue française. I think that's bullshit. But listen, Zayo, we love to hear you on and on. We really love to see and hear your progress in your journey to being who you are and like creating more of an authentic self of you. But we have to close down this episode. But before that, we do have some questions to ask you, and I can start by asking, in what ways you were told you weren't Filipino enough?
I think it's the fact that my Tagalog is pretty shit. Like, and I was what I'd like to say is that like I'm Ilocano. Like I'm Ilocano. I can speak straight Ilocano, but my Tagalog is shit. Like I think I realized that really late on, and I was so insecure about my Tagalog, and that's why I would gravitate to like less Filipino spaces because my Tagalog was so not straight.
But that's not the standard though. I don't know who the fuck did that, but like Zion here can rap in Ilocano. Just to let y'all know.
Yeah, if you've ever been to one of our karaoke days, wow. Like, yeah.
So fuck that bullshit.
Like it's a whole different language. Like
I don't understand when y'all speak in Ilocano, just so that y'all know. And I'm very proud of my Tagalog heritage, but I do not know when y'all speak, I don't understand anything. So it is a completely different language. Thank you very much. We're still very Filipino.
yes.
I love the Tagalogs, but Tagalog supremacy, boo.
I'm right there with you, Laura. Like, yes, I'm the first one to call out the Tagalog supremacy that is in our society. And we need to cede more of our space to talk about other beautiful languages that we have in the islands of the Philippines.
Yeah. So yeah, like Vero did mention, we always ask 2 questions. So Vero asked 1. The next question is, after all this, you've been involved with Centre Kapwa for a while in Ka Collective. What does the word Kapwa mean to you?
Kapwa means to me community. I think that's the word. Community and home.
Oh, I like the harmonization.
I think as someone who identifies as a person who gets displaced a lot, I think biggest thing that helps me stay grounded is redefining my definition of home. And I like not attaching it to one singular thing or a static thing is what saves my mental health.
Yeah.
And the fact that I get to decide that for myself, it's a feeling. It could be food. It could be, and we can continually seek it.
Yeah.
And I think Kapwa provides that feeling that I would associate with home.
Nice. Just to bring it on a different direction now, just because it's I'm all about hip hop. There's a saying in hip hop. It's it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at.
Ooh.
Right. So I think it kind of relates to that. Sorry, I know we said we have 2 questions. I had 1 question for you actually.
Yes.
Before you were talking about how like when you were first new here, you were feeling overlooked from the Akoya system. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. There are a lot of Filipinos, and not just Filipinos, but like a lot of new people like here going through that system right now. What advice would you give them if any are listening right now?
Find people you can talk to about the struggles of it. Like, because I talk about the isolation, but one of my strongest friendships came from that place because of the fact that a person that I studied with is in China, or is somewhere else always, but I have the strongest bond with them because of the fact that we had those conversations. I had someone to share things with, and and honestly find a place to exist. Like find a place, keep seeking places. And I know that's vulnerable and that's really hard. But I think so. You're brave. You're brave. You can do this, and it's rewarding when it works out. And if it's not, then when you do it the next time, it'll be easier.
Yeah, carve yourself a space, and well, let's give that a moment to sink in. Like I know you said that like look for a space, but actually, Centre Kapwa, we created our own space because it is something that what we're lacking. So before we close, I think Martin, t'as quelque chose, un petit commentaire que tu veux faire?
Yeah, you know what? We said 2 more questions, then Fanny asked one, and I'm gonna ask another one. But actually, I just want to bounce back on what you said. So, quick closing question, I guess. What would you define as home now?
Home now.
Oh my God! All of these questions.
It's not one answer for sure.
That's okay.
It's definitely when I do art. I think that's something that I really hold special in my heart. Because I think to me, like, art is not like a dream. It's a lifestyle. It's what I do every day. I try to live life the art way, my art way.
Yeah.
And
What you are.
yeah, I think really finding people, like, but home is when I feel like myself and people around me feel like themselves. And what else? Home. It's an intangible thing.
It will keep
it's
on
one
growing.
of those words where
As you said, like it keeps expanding, you keep redefining it, and I think that's...
but it's one of those things you hold to when the world falls apart.
That is
Like-
that is quotable
That's
right
a
there.
cool definition.
Like I'm gonna tell like Des to put that on our
Soundbite.
yeah. You know, actually, I did have another closing question. No, I'm just kidding. I was kidding.
Well,
You know, but we do have to close, unfortunately. You know, like so yeah. I just want to give Zion a shout out. Thank you for
Yes.
Thank you
you so
guys
much.
for having
Sure.
me. I had a really good time.
yeah. Thank you for like sharing your story and just being vulnerable with us too. And
yeah. And
yeah. No, I was just gonna say you're welcome back anytime. You know.
please come back.
I'd love to.
Yeah. And so before we close for everyone, because we are on air from 2 to 3 p.m. on Wednesday, I just want to ask one-liner to Zion. Where can they support you and your art?
In my art, well, you could. We're always organizing with the Cat Collective. There's a monthly artist drop-in called Kaartehan. So you guys can see me there. You guys could show up for that. And
You post something on your Instagram too. You have your own art.
yeah, it's at Zion Axelle. It's my art account. And I'll usually post over there or in my main account about any art events that's happening. But right now, we just finished the Kagat Zine Fair, July 27th, Saturday. So that was one big project that I've been working on for the past month.
And we'll give you a break. So we also are going to cut this this episode. So once again, for those who's listening, this is Radyo Kapwa on CKUT 90.3 FM. Mabuhay. I'll see you all next week from 2 to 3 p.m. Wednesday. Bye.
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 Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Hello, everybody. You're tuned in to Radyo Kapwa on CKUT 90.3 FM. We hope you enjoyed that conversation we had with Zion. If you missed it, you can find all Radyo Kapwa episodes on YouTube or on the CKUT website. This is Laura filling in for John Marvin on the important news from back home in the Philippines. Back with a new format and a couple more articles this week. Article number 1. Buyad of Halian. Beyond Tradition and Culture, a Lifeline for Siargao Islanders, written by Erwin M. Mascariñas. While drying jijing is the main source of livelihood in Halian, the increasing cost of catching the fish is making it more difficult for the fish folk on the island to profit. Butuan, Philippines. Siargao Island in the province of Surigao del Norte is known for its world-class surf breaks, amazing white sand beaches, adventure spots, and crystal-clear turquoise waters. The tradition of drying fish is a preservation technique popular among Asian countries. In different regions of the Philippines alone, dried fish is known by different names, such as daing, tuyo, bilad, or buad. In the local Surigao-non language, buyad is a term that describes the process of drying. Here in Halian, the tradition of drying fish has been passed down from one generation to the next, and it has been one of the main sources of livelihood for our village, with around 80% of the population of our small island earning their living from drying fish, said Village Council member Elsa Tampos, who buys most of the dried fish on the island and sells it in Surigao City and other parts of the province. Right after Typhoon Odette destroyed all of the fishing boats on the island and flattened homes, it was the stocked dried fish and some canned goods that helped provide food for the islanders while they were cut off for several days without help from the rest of Siargao. Pedro, a fisherman on the island, expressed his frustration because aside from the bad weather, the increase in fuel cost, and the decrease in fish harvest, commercial fishing travelers known as liba-liba have made it even harder for them to make a living. This article was published on October 5th, 2024 via Rappler. If you'd like to access the entire article, you will find the link within this episode's description on YouTube or on the CKUT website, or you may search for it on the Rappler official website, rappler.com. Article number 2. Case of 2 Filipino caregivers who abandoned work in Korea, dubbed isolated. Written by Michelle Abad. South Korean authorities continue to investigate the caregivers' abandonment of work. But Korean media reports say that they may have left because of low wages and fears of being laid off. Manila, Philippines. The Philippines and South Korea have called isolated an incident involving 2 Filipino caregivers who reportedly ran away from their work and were arrested in Busan. The Philippine Department of Migrant Workers, DMW, said. In a press briefing on Monday, October 7th, DMW Secretary Hans Kakdak addressed reports of 2 Filipinas who were part of the pilot batch of caregivers deployed to South Korea, but were arrested after abandoning their work, thus violating their contracts and Korean immigration laws. The first batch of 100 Filipino caregivers was deployed under a government-to-government agreement in August. After a month of training, they began working on September 3rd. Korean media reported that the 2 caregivers left their quarters on September 15th, the second day of the 5-day Chuseok holiday, and were supposed to return to work on September 18th, but didn't. They were arrested last Friday, October 4th, in Busan, where they are currently being investigated. This article was published on October 7th, 2024 via Rappler. Again, if you would like to access the entire article, you will find the link within this episode's description on YouTube or on the CKUT website, or you may search for it on the Rappler official website, rappler.com. And last but not least, in terms of articles, this is article number 3. In the Philippines, costly marriage annulments spur calls to allow divorce. Written by Michael Beltran. Bill to legalize divorce offers hope to Filipino women relying on expensive and lengthy annulment process. Manila, the Philippines. Veronica Bebero recalls the despair she felt being interrogated by police inside a locked room at the United States Embassy in Manila. National Bureau of Investigation, NBI, investigators wanted to know why she had used fake marriage annulment documents for her U.S. visa application. Tears streaming down her face, the Manila-based acupuncturist remembers saying, "This has to be a nightmare, right?" after she and her U.S. finance had paid some 500,000 Philippine pesos, in USD that is 8,862, in legal and admin fees. Bebero was attracted by the promise of a speedy annulment for a fee of 210,000 Philippine pesos, that is 3,722 USD. Bebero's annulment never came. As she learned from the police, she had been scammed. There is someone out there who wants what I want, a nice, peaceful marriage. If someone is willing to give that, then I want to be able to give that back, said Bebero, whose engagement with her fiancé fell apart under the strain of losing so much money. The extraordinary lengths Bebero was willing to go to annul her marriage reflects the Philippines' status as the only jurisdiction in the world, apart from the Vatican, that does not recognize divorce. That leaves Filipino couples who wish to sever ties with no other option than annulment, a grueling process for Filipinos of modest means in particular. This article was published on September 30th, 2024 via Al Jazeera. Once again, if you would like to access the entire article, you will find the link within this episode's description on YouTube and on the CKUT website. Or you may also search for it on the Al Jazeera official website, aljazeera.com. This has been Laura with important news from the Philippines. I hope you enjoyed the rest of this episode. I'd like to say that this upcoming song is a special one. It is Fenny Cristo's latest release. It's called IMC, the John Corbin remix by Hip Hop Educators featuring Fenny Cristo. Let's go!
Baby, can't you hear my call?
IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots. Hey yo, MC griot. Mentally feed hope, the goal when we flow. Open doors like keyholes. You'll behold before commercial rap glory. Origin story, West African territory. Sharing history over drums, how it was done. Black oldest Mansa Musa from Mali Kingdom. Come, hear stars, share bars like Euro bards. Villages, lineage, living ID cards. Departed by Middle Passage, cross the Atlantic in American lands. Africans will plan it. Expanded tradition to what's in your ear. But both wheat and tears can grow in the snare. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots. Hey yo. Peace, love, unity, having fun. Each one teach one, reaching the young. But some get it twisted, tongue mutiny. Rappers tear them down, MCs build community. Quote, Curtis blow the F up, but stay humble. More or less wrestle with words, MC rumble. Hunger for culture was wonderfully raised in respect for substance, like Hunter Jason. It's like a jungle sometimes, no doubt. You gotta duke it out for the booty of clout, but no loot amount is worth the purse of a cycle that sucks worse than Dracula's curse. Only verses about Glocks, rocks and bling blocks us from watching Roger do his thing. True kings and queens of hip-hop artistry reveal reality. So what you MC? IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip-hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip-hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip-hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots.
Yo, the art of MCing from the start, my heart was in tune with it. Room spinning as soon as the youth listened to rapping on sample loops, rhythm and blues flipping. Still knew I was confused, thinking who was Cube dissing, Shook Hill and Snoop pimping, gin and juice sipping. But on another coast, Q-tip and Chuck D was true spitting, Slick Rick Jules stripping. I studied not school skipping. I grew different with war wisdom. It been in my blood since I was in the womb kicking. A jazz musician, my Tita June lived it. The OG glow Trotter, showstopper. He taught me how to play no proper. He's why I flow lava, like no problem. I was honing my craft on staircases. Half a world away, the Kapwa got exposed to the raps on air bases. Connecting to the message too, through Balitas and ancestral roots. When I bless the booth, I channel tribal synergy, while Icon manipulates the vinyl spinning speed. So put your hands up without a gun to your ribs. Rap something you do, hip-hop something you live.
IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip-hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip-hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots who rap for hip-hop. IMC, we in a cypher spitting rhymes off the top. MCs are griots.
Salut à tous et bienvenue. Vous écoutez à Radio Kapwa sur 90.3 FM CKUT. Je m'appelle Fanny Christo et nous sommes le mercredi 9 octobre. Aujourd'hui, on va découvrir des événements partout Montréal, c'est-à-dire les annonces communautaires. Donc, il faut trouver un stylo et de papier où vous pouvez ouvrir votre calendrier application mobile. Et on commence, on y va. Okay, first off, today actually, since Radio Kapwa and Centre Kapwa is all about mental health. This event, we definitely got to plug. So today, Wednesday, October 9, from 6 to 8 p.m. This is online, though. It's via Google Meet. AMI Quebec is offering a free workshop for an introduction to borderline personality disorder, and it is open to family and friends of someone living with mental illness only. So yeah, for more info on this and to register or whatever, you can visit their Instagram page at AMI Quebec. And then tomorrow, Odeme, Thursday, October 10, at Afro Musée, starting at 6 p.m., the Simone de Beauvoir Institute, in collaboration with Rambek, is pleased to present the second annual Dr. Esmeralda Thornhill Black Feminist Speaker Series. Dr. Ida Bueno Sardoy will deliver a lecture titled Barracoon Feminism and Black Women's Gaze, an Afrocentric lens on biographical references. This event will be followed by a screening of the short documentary Gulamirna, alongside the international launch of the audiovisual work Joaquina de Angola and the introduction of the feature film Ana Borges de Sacramento. Special thanks to Dr. Zaira Zarza for creating such a magnificent opportunity. So yeah, you do not want to miss out on this event, and you can check out their Instagram page at the Simone de Beauvoir Institute and Harambek for more info. That same day, Thursday, October 10, starting at 6 p.m. also, so from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Brick par Brick. You can join them and discover Bollywood dance through a workshop and party to launch their Bollywood dance classes. Enjoy a mini workshop, explore, and savor snacks and drinks. Feel free to drop by anytime, and you can bring a friend. So for more info, you can visit their Instagram page at Brick par Brick. Fast forward 2 days for Saturday, October 12, starting at 2 p.m. all the way to 6 p.m. at 4823 Sherbrooke West, Suite 100. You can join Siargao to celebrate their second edition of Dialogue de la Diaspora, breaking stereotypes, an afternoon of art, sharing, and exploration. For more info, you can visit their Instagram page at Siargao. That same day, Saturday, and also Sunday, so from October 12 to 13, our home slices, QPerg, is organizing a fundraiser event this fall. The QPerg fundraiser will be an all-in-one fundraising event with a book and zine sale, art market for local artists, an open mic, community karaoke session, and free food, with the goal of collecting funds for QPerg McGill to continue operating. This is a very important organization. They've showed love to Centre Kapwa and Radio Kapwa in the past, and a lot of other community organizations. So yeah, I really recommend y'all check this out. This event is free to attend. Be sure to check out their Instagram page at QPerg McGill for more details. Saturday, October 12, another event, 7422 Rue Saint-Hubert, starting at 1 p.m. The Federation of Black Canadians is celebrating the past, present, and future of Black Canadians with Heritage Unveiled, an unforgettable afternoon diving into the rich and impactful history of Black Canadians. It is in collaboration with Youth Take Charge. This hybrid event will spotlight the powerful stories, struggles, and contributions that have shaped our nation through the lens of art, culture, civic engagement, and more. For more info, you can visit their Instagram page at FBCFN and Black Healing Center. And then another event starting Saturday, October 12th, but more for the rest of the week too. You can discover the Overseas Week by Arbre Voyageur, a series of exceptional events to celebrate the cultural and culinary richness of the overseas. So yeah, this Saturday, October 12th, it will be themed on rhythmic and sports dance with a workshop to the sounds of ka. And then October 15, explore the 7 rhythms of guaca. October 17 and 18 is training in culinary industry hall of the Outre-mer, and October 20 is the Festival de Bouki de Accra. So you can follow their Instagram page at Arbre Voyageur for more info and more details. And then, starting this Monday, I believe, every first Monday of the month from 5:45 to 6:45 p.m. at Centre they're offering a new class for all bodies of yoga. It's time to stretch, flow, and feel amazing, where all women are welcome, no matter your shape, size, or yoga experience. This is your space to shine. It's a pay what you can model with suggested donation of $5. And for more info, you can visit their Instagram page at Centre. And then this next event isn't really an event but more of an announcement. It's the Filipino Canadian National Scholarship Program, in collaboration with the Golder Balangay Foundation and Our Home Slices Kabanka, is now accepting applications that will help pave the way for their academic journey. Be part of this meaningful mission, whether you're applying for a scholarship or wish to donate. Every action helps a youth for a brighter future. For more info, you can visit their Instagram page at FCNS Program or Kabanka Canada and GBF_Canada. And then, next week, Thursday, October 17 at L'Asterisk from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. L'Asterisk is offering a jewelry making workshop with Allegra to learn how to make a necklace perfect for everyday wear. For more info, you can visit their Instagram page at _L'Asterisk. That same day, Thursday, October 17, at Head and Hands, which is at 3465 Avenue Benny, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can join up for a social evening of drinks, food, and networking by the Head and Hands Adome Legal Program. Whether you're a law student, legal professional, or simply a part of the community, this event is for you. Come to connect with your neighbors, meet the legal program, learn about their services, and expand your legal knowledge. They will be hosting a raffle with loads of fun prizes to win, and tickets will be starting at $10 and will be available to purchase on-site on location. All funds raised will be going towards their legal program and the Head and Hands Emergency Legal Fund that provides youth the opportunity to connect to necessary legal services. You can check out their Instagram page at head_and_hands for more info. So c'est tout les annonces communautaires pour cette semaine. Ça fait un bon épisode avec Zion pour l'interview et je pense Nikki la prochaine semaine, je pense. Quand même, j'espère que vous écoutez encore le prochain mercredi et même temps et en même station 90.3 FM CKUT. Je suis Fanny Christo et au revoir.
Liberation for one is liberation for us all. Tuloy ang laban.